going over again another movement moment. This time we're talking about being inverted. That means handstand push-ups, kipping and strict, handstand walk, and wall walk. I'm not going to talk about how to do these movements. This is about getting them faster, more efficient, working on different strategies of those movements. So it's not going to be a tutorial on how to do those movements. You guys should have that, either be working on that or something in that way, but we're trying to get them better from what you do have. So these are tips and strategies to do that. All right, next is our handstand walk. So this is similar to a wall walk in the fact that we're going to be balanced on our hands, but it's a different movement. We're not trying to rotate anymore. That's not very efficient for your handstand walk. This one we actually do want to bend and press, bend and press, bend and press, just because of the place that we're walking on. If it was on a mat or turf, maybe you could get away with keeping your arms straight, but for the most part, we actually do want to bend our elbow and then lock back out. That is a big portion, is being able to balance on your hands. The way to think about this is a walk. So what should you be doing if you're walking? You're on your feet, right? So think about your hands as your feet. If you can slow down right now, like if you're standing up, you can feel your feet. If you want to go forward, you can feel the weight go towards your toes. And then as you walk, it's going to go back towards your toes for the next step. And you're pushing your hips, torso, and head in one position to get over that next foot. That's how you're going to balance. Same thing with your handstand walk. Your hands are now your feet, and then towards your toes, we're not going toward the tip of our fingers. We're actually going toward the first knuckle, that callus portion of your hand, that top portion of your hand. That's going to be where you're starting to feel that, like where your toes would start gripping the ground and your fingers will start gripping the ground. That's where you want your weight to allow you to move you forward. We're not trying to just throw our feet forward. We're trying to keep our hips and feet in line and shift that center of gravity where your hips are over that front portion. Not a lot, because you'll just flip over, just a little. Think about maybe 5-10 degrees tops to get over those hands, and that will determine your balance and speed of your handstand walk. So in competition, we have marked areas, and all you have to do is get your hands behind that, or past that line, to count. But you have to start behind that line as well. So I always like to start my handstands straight up. That way I can get more balance. I'm already locked out as I go. So then I'm going to balance, and then I'm shifting my weight forward as I walk. I can feel that weight go from the back of my hand forward after each step. So my arms still bend. It's not a lot, not a huge bend, but they still bend a little. As I'm pushing, I can feel my hips and my feet start shifting forward. You can just barely see it if I can make it with my hand, where if I was standing straight up and balanced, and then I'm just trying to, this is my hip, this portion, I would just start to push my hip with my hands over. So if my hands were down here, I would just barely push my hand over, and then I would start walking as that shifts forward. So you gotta think about your hips, squeezing your legs together, balance, then move. I won't move until my hips get over my hands and my feet are tracked over there as well. A lot of times we like to see people do it, or you often see people do this, where my hips never got over my hands. I'm always trying to look at my hands, and my hands are just trying to keep going forward, but my hips can't keep up. I have to be patient for just a moment, and then I can go. So I have to wait, hips, and then I go. And then if I want to stop, I'm tracking my hips back, and I can go backwards if my hips start going too far back. I mean, it's hard to balance just on your hands in general, but that hip is going to determine. I'm not just trying to throw my toes like this. Like if I'm scorpion like this, it's much harder to take those bigger steps and feel balance, because all of my weight is now pushing in two different directions. I have this C position where my toes are like go forward, my hips are like stay back, and so my body's telling me two different things. So just like in our handstand, strict handstand push-up, I said we had to pull this together to get one stiff position. That's what you gotta do in your handstand walk as well. The next thing you guys should consider is we're not looking at our hands the whole time, because that's gonna start pulling that body position away. We're trying to tuck our chin, and I'm looking, if I can show it in the camera, if I'm right here, I'm looking through my eyebrows, my head's just slightly tilted up, and all I can see is about this much of my hand. So I'm really looking through my eyebrows, and I trust that my hands are gonna keep going, and I can just barely see that they're moving forward as I walk. So I'm not trying to look at my hands, because I'm gonna get in this position where I'm bending my back, or my head's gonna be way in front of my hands, and that's just gonna take my body out of alignment. So we gotta be balanced in that handstand walk. That way it'll allow you to get the most efficient walk as you go through. Once you develop that comfortability being upside down, how are you going to take a faster handstand walk? So what do you do when you walk faster? You push harder off your back foot, and you take bigger steps to get that longer stride. Same with the handstand walk. It feels a little uncomfortable, but once you get it, you're starting to push and take bigger strides. So if I'm trying to get there quickly, big strides, and pushing off my backhand to get to that position a lot quicker. So I'm actually acting push off this backhand just a little bit more, and then catch, heel, transfer to my next one. My hands are now my feet when I'm in a handstand walk. So you gotta think about it. How do you walk faster? You take bigger strides, and you're pushing off that back foot. That's how you get a little bit quicker. A lot of times you'll see people just like throw themselves forward. I wouldn't necessarily do that unless there's two special cases. A, I am dog tired and I just need to get to that next rep to keep that rep count up. That's when you throw. Like, this is what a throw would look like, where you're way back behind it and you're pushing and you're trying to get there and you're just barely making it. That's like a last case scenario when you're very, very tired. Or if I'm trying to get there so quick because I only have very little time, like 5 to 3 seconds, I can literally throw myself forward. If I touch and I'm trying to jump for that next position, that's always last minute, last ditch effort. Whether my arms are just so dead they can't balance anymore, I can't keep them locked out, go ahead and throw. If I have like 5 seconds and I know my handstand walk isn't fast enough, then go ahead and throw. But otherwise, you want to learn that balance and control. I can do much greater distances much faster if I have that balance and control first.